Hi everyone, I'm Sanjay Ghare, founder and CEO of Vervotech. Thank you for having me, Akshay, today. Looking forward for a great conversation.
Sanjay, you are a prolific entrepreneur. I think maybe even the word serial entrepreneur doesn't do justice because there are so many things you're doing together. Let's start from the beginning. Tell me about your journey into the world of startups.
I passed out back in 2008 from DY Patil College, and that was a kind of recession. So I remember, the startups who are, very small startups who typically doesn't get the slots in the early days of the campus placement. They were getting the slots because the big companies who were typically hiring in 50s and hundreds were not hiring, in 2008. So this company called Taviska, they came to our campus on a third day of the, I think, placement when placement started, and I was the only one who got selected. Okay. I think my experience, because when you're in college, when you hear about the corporate world, the expectations are you will, get into a startup and, there would be a salary, there would be a perks, there would be colleagues around. So my actually beginning is very funny. So, I got into this startup and my interview happened on Friday. They said, come on Monday for collecting offer letter. So I went to their office on Monday. I thought, I will take offer letter and go back. And they said, you have time, we have work, why to waste? Where do you start the work? So I started working on
Wow.
Monday when I really went for, getting the offer letter. The funny part is, for a week, I never got an offer letter. And I was like, and there was no end. The company was great. There was, eventually I realized, but I was like, am I going to get offer letter? But everyone was so busy. It's a small 12 people team sitting in a bungalow, row house working. They don't have time for things like offer letter. So I have followed up, and after I think 8 9 days, I got offer letter as well. Of course, the first day was interesting too because there is always an impression that a good-looking girl or boy, someone who is very handsome. Honestly, I expected girl who will be HR who will come and welcome me and introduce and all that. But there was nothing like HR in the company. There was this guy.
Right.
There was this guy who was handling finance and admin and HR everything. Who was asking me very weird questions like, "Okay, do you have a farm in your village?" Very weird questions. But it was a complete shocker, and I tried to call back my campus placement officer that can I sit for more companies, and he said no, because there's always a recession. They wanted to make sure maximum people get an opportunity. But that's how my journey started. I never thought I'll spend more than a 6 month in this company where I spent almost 12 years though. No, so that was kind of a beginning where how I got into the company.
So what's like a 5 minute or a 10 minute summary of those 12 years for what the company went through? Because, I mean, Taviska itself is an interesting story. It has birthed other founders. I'd love to understand that Taviska story as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think I would say the best part of my life is Taviska. It could have happened. So there were seven co-founders. As I said, like in a 12 people team, seven co-founders, and then five more employees. Most of them were freshers, or I would say all of them were freshers like me. Joined 2 months before.
The founders also, or the employees?
No, employees. Seven founders
Okay,
who had good experience, amazing guys, and then I was
they
the
were like
fifth.
software industry
Yeah,
guys.
yes, software
Okay.
industry guys, and we were five of us. So because of that a small startup, I got an opportunity to work with directly founders as a fresher. These guys were, most of them were IIT and very smart, very hardworking. So I think that started influencing my life very early in the days. So when I was going Initial time was very funny. I don't know, how do I look at, but there is a guy who joined 3 days before me. I joined on Thursday. Someone joined on Tuesday, and second day of my, second day in office, the guy who joined on Tuesday got fired. And there used to be a weekly company meeting where CEO address everyone. Everything is really kind of informed to everyone very transparently. So these kind of shockers. I was that how can I spend at least 6 months a year here, and in that 6 months to a year, actually I became just a part of family, that everyone is so close. uh, it's like we used to work typically 3 or 4 in the morning in initial days, because you kept
What were they doing there? These seven founders, what were they building when you
yeah
joined?
so yeah yes so they were building a travel technology product. That means a complete ecosystem which can power travel agencies. So 2010, though there were like as an example in India, the Make My Trip was there, but there were very few, and a lot of people wanted to go online and build online booking engines and so on. So these guys were building a online booking platform for flights, hotels, car activities, everything, as a one-stop solution for powering travel businesses. Okay, so when
And
I
so, like, say a Thomas Cook or a Sita, those would be like these legacy travel agencies would be their customers who would buy a white labeled solution and brand it with Thomas Cook logo and all that. That was their idea.
Correct. Absolutely. The only thing is, Taviska back then was focusing US and Canada as a market. But yes, very similar to like Sita in India. They were focusing on a similar set of customers in US, and those customers were already ahead in terms of understanding of technology, and their readiness to adoption was much higher than these Indian travel agencies. But you are correct.
Okay,
So
understood.
that was kind of going on. So first, within 6 months, I never realized when I changed. Earlier, when I was sitting in the office till 3 o'clock, I was actually sitting in the office because the founders are sitting. How can I leave before them? It's a recession time. Job is important, right? I never realized when things are changed. I think 9 months of experience into IT, and the company has grown very fast. Because when I joined, within 3 to 4 days, in a second week, they moved to a new bigger office in a Koregaon Park. So we started hiring. Within 9 months, actually things have changed, where I started leading a team of people. Typically people end up in taking 8 to 10 years to really reach that level. I was leading a team in 9 months of experience. And honestly, actually, it has nothing to do with my talent or anything. The only thing is they were short of people, right? So
Yeah,
as,
right place, right
as
time.
an, yeah, as an example, I remember there's this guy called Amit Kore. I remember he's a good friend. He joined just 20 days later, and I got training from the founders. And since I joined 20 days before, they asked me to train this guy. He still feel bad about it because I did a horrible job. Right? 20 days into corporate world, I have taken a training from founder. I probably understood a bit, but I can even now think how horrible job I have done in training him. So the point I'm trying to highlight is, because of the startup, the kind of opportunities you get are amazing, and these people were extremely opinionated. So I got an opportunity to really observe all these guys, how they are thinking, how they are taking a stand, how they are every time they fight with each other for their opinions. Like this, they will do a fight for 30 minutes about their opinions when they don't agree, and then they will go for lunch together, right? So all these kind of corporate development, how you really think as in a corporate world, I think I got a great exposure. And after that, I never realized how time has passed. I have grown. Eventually I got to actually create a SaaS division in Taviska, where I had around 150 people team. We had 9 products. We were actually having customers across the globe. I got an opportunity to kind of manage the entire P&L, travel to different countries, meet all customers, do all the things, and probably try everything possible which I can probably try in my own company. So that was a Taviska journey. But in those 12 years,
What do you mean you started a SaaS division? Taviska itself sounds like SaaS, right? Like there's
so
provide a
yeah. So Taviska was more into managed. So Taviska had this whole booking engine
ah
thing, right? And it is a big thing. The customers we were targeting back then is at least a customer who has at least $1 million spent back in 2010, 11, right? So, we Taviska were only working with large customers. We'll have some dedicated teams. We'll do customization for them on top of products. We were not really doing, you sign up and just take a product and pay 10 or 20,000 for a particular thing and on their own and thousands of such. That's not the idea. We got into those kind of things around 2015 and after that. So we had products which could have been offered as SaaS, but the focus was large enterprises where we give them a managed services along with customizations. So it was a
okay,
SaaS company,
understood.
but not true SaaS from the beginning.
Hmm. And what about Taviska's own journey? Taviska got acquired while you were there, right?
Yeah, yeah. So, so in my journey, I would say, after a few years, like 2013 onwards, I started feeling of doing something on my own. And the reason for that is,
When
various,
like
yeah,
just
yeah,
tell me about the acquisition once quickly. Like
yeah, yeah.
who
So I
acquired
was telling,
Taviska
right?
and Achha,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. So Taviska got acquired in 2018 by a company called Connections Loyalty. So CX Loyalty is one of the leading brand in providing a loyalty solutions, mainly in North America. And then, because Taviska created such a great IP, CX Loyalty has acquired Taviska in 2018, and later 3 years down the line, CX Loyalty is got acquired by JP Morgan Chase, which is the largest bank and the fifth largest travel agency in US as well, Chase Travel. So that way, the Taviska's technology is today powering the Chase Travel, which is the largest bank in the world as well as the fifth largest travel agency in North America.
Okay. Interesting. Right. And what was the reason for CX Loyalty to acquire Taviska? They wanted to diversify into travels.
Well, no, no. So CX Loyalty was largest customer of Taviska. Okay, CX Loyalty when started, their travel was always the travel technology was always powered by Taviska, and with the technology of Taviska, CX Loyalty got to a great level, and of course they had a
So,
plans.
like CX Loyalty would have these, they would be running these like miles, the airline miles, those loyalty programs for airlines, and that was powered by Taviska.
Yeah, airlines or even the banks.
Okay.
So let's say you have a credit card, you get the points. You want to use those points to book travel. That would be powered by
Okay.
CX Loyalty. And
Okay.
CX
Okay.
Loyalty will
Okay.
use Taviska's technology for powering that. Okay.
Okay.
So what
Interesting.
happened is, one is CX Loyalty has grown to a great level. Second is, there is a clear need when companies getting valued or companies want to get acquired themselves. They have started understanding the need of owning the IP, where CX Loyalty's IP was actually owned by Taviska. And third is, Taviska started getting even bigger customers like CX Loyalty. So that has pushed the trigger that, okay, now, if I want to grow and get valued, I have to own the IP. And that is the reason CX Loyalty was largest customer from a billing and revenue standpoint for Taviska, decided to acquire Taviska. And that helped. I
So,
think that worked out so well. With that IP, CX Loyalty has pitched, and JP Morgan, has acquired CX Loyalty at a very huge value.
and CX Loyalty would be, for example, a competitor to Capillary, which also has a loyalty solution.
Yes, yes. The largest competitor of CX Loyalty, I would say, in North America would be Expedia Rewards division. Expedia do have loyalty division,
Okay.
and Ace Travel is the largest customer, which was with Expedia, which CX Loyalty has got on their side with the help
Okay.
of
So,
technology.
that, this question might sound a little ignorant, but there was so much that Taviska was intending to do. There was a SaaS division which you were running, and they wanted to power legacy travel businesses. How is it that they ended up with CX Loyalty as the biggest customer and then getting acquired by CX Loyalty? I mean, it just, as an outsider, it seems like it could have become bigger, had a bigger outcome than what it had. Am I right in this view? Or
So, it depends, right? So, first of all, definitely, the eventual goal for any company is to achieve some value, to create some impact, and make great money out of it. Okay, so there is always some time for the exit. It was already, more than 10 years into building of Taviska. So, I think that way, okay, of course, could they have waited and kept growing? Of course, there is no end to it. And at the same time, the Taviska founders, who started back in 2008, have more ideas beyond this also. Some of them have started, building more companies. Even some of the Taviska founders have actually built, more companies and sold it already as well. So I think, founders also started getting into more businesses. They have more opportunities available to, work on. So maybe, this may be a right time. And of course, the one large reason is Taviska built a technology back in 2008-9 and started rebuilding the entire tech in a modern way in 2015. And whatever Taviska was doing in the modern technology and rewriting, CX Loyalty was aligned with everything in terms of investing in building all of that. Taviska founders were very passionate about building great products and great technology. So one is definitely, I think they were always open to take the help and get collaborated, in a way if it is aligned with their vision and the idea of building the product. That was one. And second is, from their standpoint, it may be the right time to kind of, cash out, because there are more opportunities waiting outside, and it was more than 10 years into journey anyways.
okay, how could it have become bigger than what it was in 2018 when it got acquired? What could have been an alternate history of Taviska?
I
And
think,
again, very
yeah,
hypothetical question, but just
yeah, yeah,
to
correct. So I think, in 2008, when Taviska built everything, well, a suite of products, the companies were in the early adoption where you have to give and provide everything. When company got acquired in 2018, technology has advanced. Technology became way simpler and easily manageable, scalable.
more self-service.
Yeah. And at the same time, travel businesses also adopted technology much more. So there was an opportunity that when you are selling a suite of, let's say, 10 products, each product can become a division. And there may be companies who are using 9 other products on their own, or other companies. So it could have been a much, diversified business. Because what happens is, when you work by giving everything, and there may be a customer who is giving you a $2 million a year, but you may have just 5 customers and one of them drop, you lose 20% of revenue. Whereas you have thousands of customers who are using different products, it become a much. So from those managed and enterprise set of customers, if Taviska continued its journey and get into SaaS and try to work with, whereas, the focus was North America, but the entire globe was kind of evolving. The situation of US in 2008 was very similar to a lot of other countries, like Southeast Asia was ready by 2018. So technology could have been sold to all other companies, diversified different business models, different, I would say, tweaking different products. It could have been a much bigger company who, which could have went public. So I think there is no limit for an alternate journey. Uh,
Interesting. So, did this influence you in terms of when you were deciding to move out? Tell me about that journey for you to
yeah. So
move out
correct,
and be a founder.
correct. So I always wanted to do something, of my own, because and when I say I always is, that's the thought process which got developed in mind, after 6-7 years of work. I got a good exposure, good travel, And the great part is the founders of Taviska were very open, and they always wanted to guide. Their mission was actually to create entrepreneurs in the company. And there are examples where someone wants to work on some idea, Taviska would give a space and all the help, work from here, build your company. So to my these thoughts, Taviska founders also have always kind of helped in developing my thought process. And I tried two startups while I was in Taviska as a part-time thing along with some friends and stuff. But it never worked. One is we tried to build something for 10-11 years, sorry, 10-11 months, but it didn't work out.
What
uh,
was it?
we were trying to build something as a platform for sharing the self contracted rates across the borders, and trying to solve the payment problem for that.
The
Okay.
rates of what? Like,
Hotels,
okay.
so yeah, so we are trying to simplify the payment processing and the cross border sharing of the contracts for hotels, so that it becomes more affordable. And the intermediary is right now charging very huge. We are trying to pass on the benefits to hotel owners. So before get as in without going into a lot of details, in 2018, when Taviska got acquired, I was very clear why my two startup didn't work, and there were two primary reasons for that. One reason is I was trying to do something which is, when I was in Taviska, which is not a competing with Taviska. Okay, since Taviska was doing pretty much everything, doing something which is not competing with Taviska was a big challenge, because I don't had any knowledge or any, I don't know much beyond what Taviska has been doing, because that scope was already huge. And second is doing it a part time without leaving a job. There was always the option of coming back and you will give up quickly.
Ah,
So
okay. Right.
I remember
Yeah.
I was in Des Moines, US on a client trip, and our CEO called and said, so this was the discussion was going on for 2-3 years, that this acquisition might happen. But he called and told that, okay, this is now happening. Okay. So when he told, I was very clear that now I can do anything on my own the way I want, uh, because I don't had that. Because of course, when Taviska get acquired, Taviska's interest and focus would also change based on the acquirer priorities. And second, that I will do on my own without having any plan B. I don't want to have a job or anything like that. This is so, it was very clear. Now I can do it. I think it was very clear because it was going on for a couple of hours before, a couple of years before that. So it was very straightforward forward discussion. There is nothing to think about.
Yeah, yes. It is so true that, no plan B is, I mean, it is so important to succeed. It's very counterintuitive. Most people will say you should have a plan B. But I think when you are at a very early stage of an idea, if you have a plan B, you might end up taking the easy roads.
Oh, and honestly, we started, in 2018 end of year, 2020, within 15 months, the pandemic came. Travel was at a worse situation, right? There was no revenue travel businesses. Who is going to pay technology company, right? And we were just building a product. Probably we just had first 5 to 6 customers out. This was the toughest situation than ever, than any other situation I faced with my previous startups which failed. But since there was no choice of going back, there was never a discussion of, okay, can we shut it down and go back. The discussion was always, okay, how do we handle it to move forward. It's like, you might have heard that story, the great warriors in the history, and there's a
You
great
would burn the
about,
bridges behind them.
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that what
yeah,
you're talking about?
just break the bridges or cut the ropes. So the only way is you have to win the war. That's the
Forward.
only way you can. There's no
Yeah.
way for going back. I think I believe that helps.
Yeah,
uh,
yeah, true, true,
in
true.
most of the
Uh,
cases, because success is, in my opinion, the early time is tough. You have to be patient. Success, there is no shortcut to success. It's not going to happen in a day or month or year. And it's not even the objective thing that are you successful or not. It is a subjective thing. You may be less successful or more successful, but you will be successful. What matters is, as long as you are successful, that's good.
how did you identify the idea in the market?
Yeah, good. So when I was actually, working for Taviska in the initial days, and we did all this, and I started visiting customers a lot. I saw that, when we are providing pretty much everything in travel, right? We got everything, and when you provide lot of things as a package and what you're charging versus, there are some companies in the market back then who had very, I would say very small, just, as in they were providing very niche offerings. Okay, so one example of that, there is this GDS Saber who had a product called Trams. That's a counting product. Everyone, almost everyone I know or we used to work with or talk, they were using it. So then there is this company called IQCX.
That's like a accounting product for travel
Yes,
specifically, like
correct,
for flight and hotel,
correct, correct.
like
Mainly
managing
for
the
flights initially,
money
but
for
yes, correct.
flights. Okay,
Then there was
okay.
another product called IQCX by a company called Cornerstone. It was only doing auto ticketing and everyone using it. Small teams, great product. When I looked at these kind of products, that I realized, you know, the one way is you build everything, you have hundreds of engineers and you sell it to 5, 10, 20, 30 customers. And because, I'm a technologist myself, once you spend some time, you are generally curious about things where you don't have enough experience or exposure. SaaS as a concept was really booming. There were people who were talking about SaaS and all. So then I thought, what we will do is, there are enough problems in travel. This industry is evolving. So we have to take the problem and a very niche problem and solve it at a level where everyone will work with us. And that is how we thought of, okay, hotel content is a problem where hotel mapping needs to be done, room mapping needs to be done, the content standardization needs to be done. So we'll take this problem and we'll work with everyone. Of course, the companies would come. If we are working with a large customer, they will ask, do you have this? And it is very easy to get tempted. But I strongly believe, focus is like, a very popular saying that it's not really about being focused on something. It is all about not getting distracted with everything else. So we kind of continue doing that, and because of the SaaS product, a very small revenue size, it takes time initially to feel better. But once you have customers, and if two customers leaves for their own reason, it really doesn't matter, right? Because then you start working with everyone. So I think with that was this is a known problem. There were companies who were trying to solve this. There was one company who was focused on doing this. When we started, they were already into business for more than a decade, and there were hundreds of other companies who were doing this, but a lot more, many other things as well, and they never did a perfection. So I thought, if there is only one company who is doing this as a focus, there is enough opportunity there, because there are more than 300,000 travel agencies globally. So more than 300,000 customers, even if you get 10% of that, it becomes huge. That was the idea, that we'll go into niche, and then that's how we started and kind of kept growing. And all of these things, all of this decision, Akshay, is the 12 years in Taviska, all of them, kind of has taught a lot of things, that what we need to do differently, why we need to do differently, and so on.
Okay, I want to take a slightly macro view first to understand the problem better. In When it comes to discovering flights between any 2 points, then I believe you have these, like Saber you mentioned, you have these central, like you have a few players who aggregate flight data across the world. Every airline possible is listed there. So it is very easy for uh, anybody to start a flight booking business, because you can just plug into those one or two companies and through them get access to all the flights. Am I right in this understanding?
So, this is right understanding, but I think this is not a problem. The similar thing exists in the hotel also. Okay, like
So
aggregator, right?
okay, there is something which anybody can start a hotel booking business by connecting to this
And I will tell you
centralized.
difference. Yeah, I will tell you difference of what is the fundamental difference between flight and hotel, right? If you look at the flight business, flight will fly between two airports. Okay, and any airport when it started gets a airport code which is unified. Everyone would say, Pune is PNQ, or any airport. Dallas is DFW, or London is LHR, London Heathrow, right? So any airport has unique code. That means airports are identified uniquely by everyone. There is no confusion, or there is no way of saying Delhi airport, New Delhi. There's nothing like that. There is a airport code which is standard. Then any new airline which starts, they have a airline code, right? Air India will be AI only, right? And every airline flying between, every route, there is a unique flight number. Let's say AI 911 is a specific flight. So what happens is, let's say Sabre, as you said, Sabre is a GDS who is giving the inventory and aggregating all airlines.
What's the full form of GDS?
It's a global distribution system. Okay.
Okay.
So yeah. So when all these airlines were working, they were not able to sell it to everyone. So these GDS came in where they were working with flights to source the inventory, and they were working with the travel agencies to sell it. So they were like the distribution hub. Okay.
And the way to understand Sabre is, say, Visa and MasterCard. Like Visa is aggregating merchants on the one side to accept digital payments, and banks on the other side who will provide the authorization and the money transfer and all of that. So, and
Right.
Visa is the network connecting them. So similarly, Sabre is doing something similar to Visa.
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and so there is a Sabre. Let's say there are other GDS also. Let's say there is Amadeus, or there is Travelport. Okay, and eventually there are aggregators who are not GDS, but they are also in a sourcing. And the same flight, let's say Pune to Delhi flight, or let's say Delhi to New York flight. That Delhi to New York flight may be given by Sabre and may be given by Amadeus as well. And as a travel agency, I can decide which one I want to show, which is cheaper or better for me. But this is the same flight I can very easily identify, because there is a flight number, airline code, airport codes, everything unique. There is a standardization in the flight industry. Whereas when you look at hotels, I start a new hotel tomorrow, Sanjay Hotel, and there is no unique way to identify that hotel. I can say Sanjay Hotel, you can say Hotel Sanjay. There is no hotel code assigned to me. This is the first level of problem. So when one supplier is giving Sanjay Hotel and the other supplier is giving Sanjay Hotel, and if I say these two hotels are same, there is no easy way, because there may be hundreds of Sanjay hotels or two on the same road. Because let's say you go to a place which is famous for, let's say, this Eiffel Tower. There may be 10 hotels in nearby which may have Eiffel in their hotel name, right? If you go to let's say Ayodhya, which is the the new destination getting built in India, on a one road you will find 5 hotels with the Ram in the name of hotels, right? So
Yeah,
my
true.
point
True.
is, there is no standardization. So how do I identify these two hotels are same, those same hotels is coming? I cannot show same hotel twice to customer and make them confused. I have to show only one and show the best rate. So that is the first problem, where hotel needs to be mapped. The same hotel is coming, and it's very complex. The same hotel comes from 400 times, because there are 600 plus very good suppliers in the world, and every hotel will at least come more than 100 times. And you need to understand, okay, this is same, so take only one copy and show the best rate which is given among these hotels. Now the second problem is, when you go and you decide, okay, this is the hotel I want to go, you will go and try to see the rooms. Now the rooms in a hotel would also be named differently by different suppliers. Someone would say superior room, someone would say standard room, someone may just say room. How do you know that this room is same? Otherwise, in one hotel you will end up in showing thousands of rooms. If hotel only has 10 rooms, you have to show 10. So those rooms also needs to be mapped. So these are the two problems on a very high level. Mapping the hotel, mapping the room is something we do, and we have developed, AI based algorithms using, for room level we use NLP a lot, and for hotel level we are using our AI algorithms to kind of map these hotels and rooms. That is in a nutshell what we do, Akshay.
Okay. Um, you said there are 600 aggregators. So just like you have Sabre, there are 600 such players in the hotel space. So why is that? Why did
Yeah.
the hotel space get like a few dominant players? Why is it so fragmented?
So there are dominant players, okay, but I will tell you the categorization, right? So first of all, there are OTAs. Okay, let's say Expedia or Booking.com is an OTA. They're selling hotels online, so they give it to others also, as a B2B. So these OTA act as suppliers. Then there are Sabre, like you said, the GDS also have hotels. Then there are bed banks who kind of pre-buy the inventory and have the best rates, but they will not have it for all hotels. Whatever they're able to contract. So, like, bed banks like Hotel Beds, Web Beds, these are the leading bed banks. Then there are regional players. So, if you come to India, the Clear Trip and Yatra are the players who are very strong in India. They are in Indian contracted. If you go to UK, then there are Travco, Mickey, Restel. If you go to US, then there is Bonotel. So, all these regional players. And then there are aggregators who kind of aggregate from everyone, try to give the best out of it. And now the aggregators who have their own contracted rates also, it's a mix of it. So this is how this list is evolved today. Uh, in order to get the best rates, and every market is different. As an example, North America is a very matured market. They don't just look at the best rates. They say, I want to make sure the API is fast, my results are shown fast, data is good. So they typically, every travel agency in US would work with 6 to 10 suppliers at the max. But if you come to India, they want to show the cheapest rate available on the earth. So everyone would work with 30, 40, 50 suppliers. And of course, there are business models, different business models. Someone just say, my data would not be best, but I would always give you the best rate. Someone would say, I am in a luxury segment where I would have my best rates, best service, best experience. But yeah, this is how that evolved, and everyone works with everyone. Trust me. Even these 600 suppliers would be working with each other as much as possible. And there are top, and you can always, based on your market, you can work with the top who are globally top, some regional, and kind of limit your supplier set to kind of 6 to 10.
Interesting. How do these suppliers earn? They charge the hotel a fees, or they take a commission, or how do they earn? What is their
So,
deal with the hotel? Like,
yeah,
who
yeah.
does the hotel owner work directly with?
So, so there are different, of course, there are different models in this. At the end of the day, someone who is buying from hotel is, sharing the commission with them. And either hotel may be collecting the money or supplier may be collecting the money, but there is a commission sharing. But as I said, one hotel doesn't work with the 600 companies. They may be working with one, two, three, or four. But then these four companies is giving to, so everyone works with everyone, and that commission which is originally collected, who is directly working with hotel, get shared, between multiple parties. So let's say supplier is selling to customer and charging $100, maybe actually what hotel gets is 70 or 75. So then the rest of the commission gets kind of get in the ecosystem. And the things like which we are doing, like standardization, everything mapped using the AI, which can do it in real time, is also a big enabler to kind of get rid of multiple players in the ecosystem, because it is an efficiency. At the end of the day, someone who is owning and managing the hotel has to get the maximum benefits in order to deliver the best services to your guest.
So again, interesting thing about this industry, you're saying 25% is the commission amount, which I think for the airline industry is much lower, right? What would be the commission of airline, a flight manufacturer, or someone who's manufacturing a passenger ticket? What is the commission they pay out typically?
So two things, first of all, commission may not be 25 always. It may be, so, if let's say there is Maldives, right? Some destinations where the demand is always high, it's always going to be sold out. The commissions may be lesser as well, but
But
in the entire,
blended average would be like
yeah, it
in
may
that.
be, but 18-20% is definitely a split. And you might have heard the even news where all the hotels in Ahmedabad boycott one of the top agency a few years back in India because they were charging huge commissions, right? On the flight side, in fact, actually commissions went to almost zero. But the way it works is airlines have to pay a significant fees to GDS, because the distribution happens through GDS as a technology, and GDS then pay travel agencies, which is called as segment fees. So today's flight industry is lot running on the segment fees. Commission component is less or almost zero. Then some travel agencies are even charging the service fee to customers, and rest of it is all on the segment fees. And segment fees, that means if you book a flight from Pune to Delhi, return, these are two segments: Pune to Delhi, Delhi to Pune. So for two segments, if you are booking that on a Sabre or Emirates or GDS will pay you segment fee, and GDS is charging airlines for using their technology based on the bookings happening on their GDS system. And that's when airlines always trying to go direct, take my API direct, because that's the additional cost for them. But it's not easy. GDS
How much
has,
does an airline pay to GDS? What percentage of, is it a percentage of booking, or is it of like a subscription you
it
have?
is, of course, the way airline pay to GDS has multiple components. But typically what GDS pay to travel agency is basically, if it is a domestic segment there is a fee, if it is international segment there is a fee. It is typically $6 to $8, okay, per segment. But yeah, it is
So
a
it's like
segment.
single digit percentage of the ticket
It
price.
is not percentage, it's not ticket price. Typically it is typically based on number of segments. Every route, one
Okay.
segment is based on that. And the difference for domestic versus international segment fee is because international ticket price is typically high.
Hmm. Okay. 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 Understood. Okay. Interesting. So now you realize that hotel uh, supply information is very scattered and not streamlined. There were two ways to do it. One way is to sell this as a service to travel agents and charge them for doing this standardization. Or the second way is to become an aggregator where you standardize it and then you take a commission. Why did you choose to sell it as a service instead of earning a commission?
That's an interesting question. Okay, and I think my thought process to that, Akshay, is you understand the problem and you only focus on the problem instead of trying to deliver entire solution by yourself. Okay, as I said, there are hundreds of aggregators and suppliers in the ecosystem already. If I actually help these aggregators to solve the problem they have, they will easily adopt and easily grow. Versus if I solve this problem and become my aggregator myself, I'm never going to own the 100% of the business. So this problem, solving it for myself is already not worth it. Being an aggregator can be a separate thing, but being an aggregator was never a problem. There are aggregators who are able to sell, who are able to fulfill everything. The problem they have is they don't have a unified data. So rather focus, doing everything, just focus on what is missing, and that way I'm able to work with all aggregators instead of just being my own aggregator and solving the problem for myself.
Uh, how would you classify your customers into buckets? Like you work with the OTAs, those are it, or you also work with people who are selling inventory to OTAs?
Both. So typically anyone who is buying hotel inventory from multiple suppliers, we work with them. Okay, so let's say Make My Trip as an OTA who is buying from 10 suppliers, we can work with Make My Trip. But typically what happens is those 10 who are selling to Make My Trip, they also work with 10 or 20. So that way we work with both. Anyone who is buying, the only area where we typically don't work is if someone says I'm only contracting and I only have these 5,000 hotels, I'm directly contracting, I'm not taking from anyone else and aggregating, we don't then work with them. But anyone who is buying from multiple suppliers, let it be a OTA or bed bank or supplier, we work with all of them.
Okay, understood. Give me example of this aggregator who is selling to the OTA. Is there some name I would have heard of? Any big names here?
Yeah. So, and I'll give all the names actually, in different categories of suppliers. So if you look at OTA, Expedia and Booking, are the examples of OTAs who are selling as a supplier to other OTAs. Then if you go to aggregators, then TBO is an aggregator, Get a Room is an aggregator who are actually buying from multiple suppliers as well as they have their own contracted rates and they're selling to others.
So
If you
these are
go to
pure B2B. I, as a customer, will not be able to go and book on these.
Yeah, you will not be able
Okay.
to buy from TBO directly as a customer. It will be given to B2B. Correct.
Hmm.
Then you have bed banks who are again B2B, like hotel beds and web beds are the top two bed banks, who are pre-buying the inventory from hotels and selling it to all the businesses out there. And then there are local players in different markets.
Okay, understood. Understood. Okay, what is what's the value add to a customer who is using your product versus somebody who's not using your product? What difference does it create for their end customers eventually? I mean, from what I understand, this is a improvement in customer experience for them. Like
Yeah,
Make My Trip will have a better customer experience if they use your product.
correct. I will tell you if they don't use our product, because if they're using a mapping product which is good and accurate, the thing is when they are looking for a specific hotel, they will be able to see the cheapest rate with that hotel, because if that hotel is listed twice and they see the hotel name, there may be the same hotel name somewhere else on the 10th page and the cheapest rate may be there. So those kind of issues are gone. If you book a hotel, then you will not end up in, so you see the name, you book it, and when you reach there you might experience the problem that okay, hotel doesn't have booking. I assumed I booked a 5 star, but when I go there on the same road 200 meter down, there is a 3 star property and my booking went there. So those kind of problems which kind of impact the customer, experience, those can be avoided very well. If you go on the rooms page, you don't see hundreds and thousands, rooms. You can see only 8 rooms in the hotel, and you can give an experience as an example. Our customer gives the experience like, if you go in a hotel, okay, this is a standard room, is $100. If you want to add a breakfast to this room, $20 more. If you want to add a refundability, $10 more. This way it is very easy to make a decision, because the rooms are mapped and the rate plans are mapped. It is very easy to show it and customer can make a decision. Okay. Otherwise, what happens is if you're showing $120 room, but this is with breakfast, this someone is with not breakfast, it's not easy to compare. It becomes very painful for customers to make a decision. This kind of clear experience help customer to make a decision. Oh, I just want to buy this. Oh, I would rather buy the breakfast later. I would do a breakfast somewhere else. All those decisions can be easily made.
Okay, interesting. What metrics do you improve for your customers? Is it like the conversion rates increase or the repeat rates increase, or what are the metrics which customers uh, would tell you that these metrics have improved after we started using your product?
Two important things. One is the conversion should improve because every rate is now available and you don't miss out on the rates because of it is not mapped. And second thing, number of issues
So
reported by
you're able to
customers.
show the lowest rate with more transparency on what it includes, what it doesn't include, etc.
We are able to give them all the rates in a quantified way, structured way, where they can make a decision and show the right things, and none of the rates would be missed. And second is the number of cases, which are coming as an error because customer booked something and happened, they don't get their booking there, and all those cases, reduction in those cases. Because of course there would be errors. I would not say that if they use our product there would not be errors. It's a AI based product. There is no way even a human does it. There is no way to do it 100% right. So there would be some errors, but the accuracy level, we work at 99.999%. So the error rate significantly goes down.
Okay, tell me about how you deploy the product with a customer. What's the journey like? Like somebody contacts you and says, "We want to use your product."
Yeah, so because it's a data product which is helping you to map the data, it is not an end product. It needs to be consumed in your technology as a data. What we give is a data. So customer has to come up, sign up with us, fill all the details, they make the payment, and they get access to our APIs. So they have a choice that they can actually implement our APIs to start downloading data at their end, which can be used in their booking engine process. Or they can just initiate a process. Okay, give me a one-time dump. I will load all the data through a CSP, start my work, and then I'll implement the APIs. So in our case, it is just a click, click, click. There is nothing which needs to be done at our end. Customer have to kind of because what we do is a process, give a process data. So if customer comes and say I work with this 10 supplier, they come to our platform and say 1 2 3 4 5, automatically request goes to those suppliers. So let's say someone says I am using Expedia, request will go to Expedia. When Expedia approves, their data becomes available for them along with our mappings. So as the 10 suppliers approves, all the suppliers says, oh, he's my customer or she's my customer, give her data. Our data will start flowing to them in a mapped and structured way, automatically.
Okay, interesting. So, what you the way to build this product would have been that you would have gone to the suppliers like an Expedia or a Make My Trip and told them that I want to consume your data and standardize it and act as an intermediary between you and some new OTA who might want to use your data, where I will take your data but provide it to them after doing my standardization on it.
Yeah, that's a very interesting question, Akshay, because when we started and we go to supplier, they don't have even a second to talk about who are you, why we will talk to you even, right?
Yeah, because you're not
So,
giving them revenue as such.
yeah.
I mean, at least not on
And
day
they
zero.
don't care, right? So how it starts is we work with customer. So let's say we find out a large customer, we work with them because they are the one who are facing the problems, right? If you're able to tell, okay, how this is how we are helping you and we are able to improve, and that customer decides, oh, I want to use your services, these are my 10 suppliers, then we'll tell, okay, why don't you introduce us with your 10 suppliers. And now let's say TBO comes and go to supplier and say I want to use Vervotech. Then we talk to supplier, hey, we have a product and your customer is now mutual, our mutual customer, and you need to work with us. Then do agreement with supplier to get their data, set it up, and then they will approve the access for TBO. So early days is basically we figure out a customer, and based on customers recommendation or push, supplier are ready to work with us. Then
Okay.
once we reach certain level, where every supplier want to make sure they work with us so that they get access to customer, all of that, they want to do webinar with us. Now it's all changed, but beginning it is customers who helped us to actually push suppliers so that they can work with us.
Interesting, interesting. So, tell me that essentially you would have had to start building the product once you got your first customer who introduced you to suppliers, right? That's when, because without data you can't build anything, right? You need data first, otherwise there's nothing that you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
do.
So basically, what we did is we, identified one, customer in beta, and we said, this is what we are building, and we can do better. They don't want it to even work, introduce us with supplier unless they are convinced,
Hmm,
and
true.
we cannot convince them unless we have a supplier data.
Yeah, you need data
The way
first.
it
Yeah,
started
the
is,
chicken and egg.
yeah, correct. The way it started is they have exported a two suppliers data from their system and gave us two files and said this is my data for two of my suppliers, you map in, show me the results. So we started algorithm there. Okay, this is a data filled in, create the first, make it perfect, give it back. They are convinced. Then we got access to 6 suppliers who were working with them, and that's how the journey started.
So when they gave you data of two suppliers, you were able to take common properties on both suppliers, put them together, and then show them that this property
So
is listed at this price with supplier one, this price with supplier two, with these
not price
features.
actually, not price. Our
Okay.
job is only to tell, uh, this hotel is basically a Vervotech master ID is this, which means
Uh,
this ID on supplier A, this ID on supplier 2. Now you know these two properties are same. You decide everything else on your end. It is a hotel level mapping, then room level mapping. But we went to room level mapping after 18 months of the product experience, and when we had first customers where suppliers were already working with us, and so on. But we
okay.
took time. When we get a data, we took around 3.5 months to go back to them. Because really, unless we had a data, once we have a data, we had, to tweak algorithm and really get to a level.
Yeah, your
And
development starts only after you have data. Before that, there's
correct,
no development possible. Very
correct.
interesting. Okay, okay. Which also makes this a business which doesn't need a lot of upfront investment, because essentially it's more about relationships than capital here. If you have relationships to get one or two customers and get data from them, you can like kind of start the cycle.
So the real investment here is, of course, once you have product sales, marketing, events, a lot of these things really needs investment. But building a product also needs investment. And we had all the plans for getting investment. But what happened is, we thought we will have first 6 customers, in beta, make them successful, and then we will actually go for investment, because we were tech people will build the product first and then go for investment. But by the time we are ready, the pandemic
Why
came.
would you need investment? Is it because the per customer pricing cannot be too high, and so therefore you need 1,000 customers to break even?
Not exactly. So basically, the way, if you look at it, we started building a product and we will build a product, but taking to enterprise level, having the security. So there is a product level investment.
Okay.
Then
Hmm.
we will need a lot of marketing, right? As an example, we needed a good marketing team, a good content writer, the digital marketer, inside sales team, web designer. We have to go to different events to do a branding, because we are a new company. People we will, the good product will not get sold just because the product is good. No one is going to check it. We have to present ourselves in front of everyone. We have to write, kind of create that perception. So we spent a good amount in branding also. So all of these things needed money. But
And
of course,
how much would each customer give? Or like, say, you said 6 customers you want to hit. What would be your MRR with 6 customers?
so back then we were charging around $12,000 per month, per year, for 6 customers. So it's like $1,000 per month per customer, kind of thing.
Okay. Right, right, right.
What we
Which,
did is, in the pandemic hit, the situation for getting the money was not really the great. Then you keep moving, right? In the same time, then we realized, okay, it might make sense to diversify and do a tech services business also. So in 2020 I started a tech services business, right in the middle of pandemic, to kind of get some money and see if that money can be funded here. Then
and
we
I
changed.
guess tech services was really booming at that time because suddenly everyone realized you need to have an online play. You can't be an offline
Absolutely. Yeah,
business.
I think within a year that company has crossed 100 people, first 2 million in revenue. So that grown,
Wow.
really fast, and that was good hit. But of course,
And
uh,
what is that business called? The services business?
it's a company called Texpian Services.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's doing pretty well even now. It's growing. It's on its own. So
And TechSpin is essentially your cash cow. You're using the money there to invest it. Well, like that helped you build Vervotech.
yes, that helped us to build, but not for very long, because when we did this, and we realized that these tech services can become a big company in itself. within a year's time, we kind of tried to cut down the two companies, how they can remain separate. So what we do for Vervotech then is we thought, if we are taking $1,000 from a customer and that gives me $1,000 per month, instead of charging 12,000, I will charge 10,000, but I will charge annually. So we
Okay.
shifted and started annual payment to just create the cash. So we were actually on negative because this revenue is for 12 months,
Yeah.
but we were able to manage the cash flow.
Yeah. Every new
And
sign up is immediately giving you much bigger amount. Mm.
like, it's giving me 10 customers money, right? So
Yeah.
that way, when I'm actually signing up, let's say three customers, now I have actually money of 30 customers. So that
Yes.
helps me to manage the cash flow. And of course, with pandemic, we are very, very sensitive. We had always very lean. Uh, I think best thing happened to us, Akshay, is pandemic, because we learned the lesson for lifetime. Okay, and then we never thought of raising money. I'm not a fan of raising money for anything. Of course, some things are just too big, you need it, because I would, instead of managing the investors and spending time there, I would spend time on building the great products. So I think we learned a lot out of pandemic. How can you be lean? And if you be learn to be lean, you will be profitable at a great level eventually.
Amazing. So is Vervotech profitable today?
Yeah, yeah. So our tech is profitable. Our EBITDA is always about 30%.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So we always maintain. So Vervotech got acquired last year by a company called Constellation Software. It's a
What
public
is?
list. Constellation Software is a public listed company in Toronto Stock Exchange. A lot of people don't know about the company because it doesn't do any marketing. The founder, Mark Leonard, has a very different principles. If he doesn't, he keeps saying this. Don't waste the money where there is no ROI. Focus on the business. You'd be surprised. It is a 78 US billion dollar market cap.
Wow.
It's the eighth largest software company in the world, but people still don't know about them. There's a very small headquarter team. What Constellation does is Constellation acquires vertical software companies like Vervotech who are specialized and in product into something, and let them run on their own and help with the best practices, resources, capital, and all those things.
Oh yeah, I have heard of Constellation Software. I've heard of it as being the Berkshire Hathaway of software. Like they basically build a portfolio of software businesses, and with a very light touch approach where they are essentially doing capital allocation and very broad level strategic calls, but not involved in day to day operations.
Correct, correct. No, yeah, yeah, and they don't, really buy the companies. They buy the team who actually building that company and take it ahead for them. They make those team very successful. Most of the companies who became a part of Constellation, even for more than 10 years now, the founders and CEOs are still with those companies, running and growing, and they never sell companies.
What
So for us,
what is the way to make the founders stay? How do they achieve that? Because typical acquisitions, founders leave in 1 or 2 years max.
yeah, yeah. Two things I think, and of course, we are in less than 1 year, so I still have to see a lot. But what I have seen, the other founders in sister companies and people I'm talking to, I think two things. One is, as a founder, nothing changes. You are still on your own. And when I say you're literally on your own. There is no, the only is they have the financial guidelines. As an example, 30%, EBITDA, you should be above it. If you're above it, you're good. If you're not above it, then only they will say, okay, what can we do? So only financial metrics are tracked, which is important for the business. Rest you're on your own. And second is their incentive plans are basically so great where even after selling the company you keep making the money, and not just the founder but the teams and the leadership typically have an opportunity to grow and stay with CSI for longer.
How do they structure the compensation? One part would be like you would get some upfront money, or is it equity? What do you get when you sell the business? And do they
Uh,
acquire it 100%?
yeah, so CSI always acquire companies 100%. Okay, and the deal depends on actually, what kind of company you are, what kind of preference you have. Some companies, typically is 100% on upfront on the acquisition. Some companies maybe a part of it on the acquisition and the earnout. So it really depends on a company to company. But largely it is 100% acquisition with all the money upfront, all the cash deal, not even a stock deal. But they're open, they're flexible for the kind of deal you want to do. And if you look at the stock price of Constellation, also it's always going up from 2008.
Amazing. All cash deals and the founders still stay. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And what is the incentive plan for a founder? How do you earn incentives for you
So
to
that's
be
yeah,
motivated?
yeah. It is actually completely based on your BU, your unit or your company. It is directly linked with the amount of money you are helping company to make. And of course, it is not just for founder. I would say it is for a team who is making it happen. Typically the bonus go to everyone in the company, and these are the small things actually which helped us to make a decision, because as a company also, we also always done this. The moment we became profitable, we said we will share the part of profit back with the entire company. So we typically shared a significant part of our profits back with every employee. So we say, let's say I have 2 CR capital, which can be, 2 share money, which can be shared back as a profit with everyone. Then we will sit as a leader and allocate the money to each department, and each department will decide then how to. So it's a very similar thing on a Constellation also. So those are the some of the things which are very similar from a thought process standpoint.
So, what was your ARR when Constellation bought you, or what is it now? Some numbers about the scale of the business.
Yeah, so this year we will be, very close to 3 million in ARR, 3 million USD.
Okay, okay, okay. How did you think about the decision of sell versus build till IPO? I mean, these are typically the two options for founders, right? Like,
Yeah. No, I think this was very a strategic move for us, because what we are doing is a very niche, and what we need is access to a lot of customers. So Constellation has a very significant travel portfolio, the under a company called Juniper Group, 14 other travel companies in the group, travel tech, and getting access to those companies and have a more strategic partnership to get access to customers, especially in the markets where we are not very strong. So we are very good in North America, India, Middle East. Now we are doing well in Southeast Asia, Europe and South America, where our, I would say, weakness, we are not very strong because of language barrier and so on. So that thing which could have taken several years got kind of accelerated, and I see we will make a good business in those two markets in next 12 to 18 months now, all because of the Juniper Group synergies.
fascinating. So you would also get rebranded as being a part of Juniper Group to again help you open doors and leverage the Juniper brand.
Not really. So this also, all of this, so there are a lot of collaborative thing happens. There are a lot of group thing happens, but as I said, everyone is on their own. Do we want to put the Juniper Group on our website or not is our decision. There is no guideline. Even the two group companies want to work together, of course they will want to work together, but it is not a forced decision. That's what I'm saying. The beauty is, all you do is you do good for your PNL, whatever is helping. There is no waste of time in the things uh, on the name of just as a part of group. There is nothing like that. The amazing people, all they care is focus on your business, what help we need from each other, and do what helps your business. There is no guideline for anything uh, on those. So it can be done, it cannot
Interesting.
be done. It depends.
And as TechSpin, also you're running that, like you're the MD, the managing director or the CEO there.
I'm actually managing director there, so I kind of give a strategic direction to CEO and board, but I'm not running day-to-day things there. Of course, I get involved in strategic matters, some key account, key customers meetings and all, but there is a dedicated leadership team along with CEO from day one of TechSpeed.
How's your time split in a week? Like in a week, how much time do you give to each of your ventures? And there's a third venture we haven't spoken about. Just tell us about that also.
Yeah. So, I think time, I don't really do it that way, as such. Typically, I look at three aspects. One is growth, second is profitability, or I would call it as an efficiency, and third is firefighting. So I just keep doing that, and of course, a lot of or most of time goes in Vervotech because I am CEO running day-to-day operations here. Whereas in other two companies, my involvement is more strategic. Uh, Third company, that's a very interesting part. Okay, so Zill Connect. That actually we started back in 2016, and the idea behind the Zill Connect is we wanted to do something which will help rural communities and farmers. So the first initiative we started in Zill Connect is selling vegetables from buy directly from farmers to customers. And and there are some lot of other initiatives we did. As an example, we had a farmer canteen in a village where farmers are able to get the grocery at a discounted rate, just like an army canteen in India. So a lot of small initiatives we have done. For fertilizers we created something. What happened is recently, last year, mid of last year, I decided that we will have a branch office of Vervotech in a village. The idea is we want to kind of create some jobs there. So we have some work which is a manual processes in terms of creating the content or making some manual decisions. So we decided to start around 30 people office back in my village. uh, and I started spending time on those things. It was a great experience. There were a lot of challenges. There was no internet there. There is no infrastructure available there. So I have kind of taken the internet from 14 kilometers, used the one of the residential building, one floor, to convert it into a 60 people office and all of that. And when we were doing that, in the process, we saw the kind of need. There is so much talent available there. People need little bit of training, but they need a job. So we started our Dowdy branch for Vervotech on 12th of Jan. But by the time I conclude that, I realized if I spend little more time, I use my relationships, actually I can probably give an employment to 400, 500 people in that village. And it's not just one village. People, in a 30 people Vervotech team, there are people who are coming from nearby villages. Most of them, are girls who are married. They cannot really come to metro city and do the job. So this job, which is and we want to do all kind of, so there can be some tech as well, but more of a BPO and the robotic process automation kind of work. There is such a huge need, and I realized that, let's say I need 30 people right now for overtake. I may need 10 more people in next few months and I have 40 people, but how can I create more employments? That's when Jill Connect, which was always focused on developing the rural economy, we thought of focusing or tweaking the Zill Connect focus to create these employments in hundreds. So, because this is, I think I found this is probably a way where I can help in a much better way because this is my area of expertise. So, yeah, that's the Zill Connect. So, today, Zill Connect's vision is, again, Zill Connect's vision was always to develop and empower rural economy. But now that vision is achieved through creating and delivering the world class BPO and tech services to global enterprises. We signed first three customers there. I think business is picking up well. There is a short of infrastructure and stuff where I'm trying to collaborate with some more people. How can we kind of create a new infrastructure like a business park there? We are, kind of collaborating with the local politicians who are also very helping in developing some infrastructure for us. But yeah, those things are going on. So Zil Connect is that uh, to tell you, Akshay, the fundamental difference is other things are business where we are trying to create the wealth, we are trying to create an impact. But Zil Connect for me is a way of life. I'm looking at, I would be working for Zil Connect till the last breath of my life. I will work on it till I die, probably, right? I don't think I will work on anything else till I die. So it's very close. We had been doing different things in last 7 years. We have struggled a lot, honestly, in doing things because it's not easy to work and do a bit. But my idea is now I think I have learned, and this is the same thing. When I said, at the time of when I was starting Vervotech, after acquisition of Taviska, I realized I can do this because this is what my area of expertise. I think now I'm convinced with the same thing for rural development also. If I use my expertise, probably I will do better than any other way. And now I'm on that path with Skill Connect.
So let me end with helping. I mean, to understand one thing from you. So, from what I understand, you are extremely good at taking a business from 0 to 1 and then putting it on autopilot for the 1 to 100 journey. What are some of the best practices around how to do this?
Uh, Two things, one is, any business. A lot of people think business idea is important, and in my opinion, the team is important. You have to have the right team. You always focus on building that right team. And building that right team is not about that you have 40 people, you build the right 40 people. You get the four right people for four your departments, and they will then automatically build their teams who are right. Okay. So in my opinion, idea can be tweaked, changed, diversified, whatever, all that can happen. But team is that one thing. And second thing is, focus on the right matrices and number. If you're doing a business, focus on the growth as well as efficiency slash profitability, and really just everything around it. And then there, so these are two things in my opinion which have helped, because then in the execution, one key thing is visibility. So like in Vervotech for last 5 years, first Tuesday of every month we do all hands, and we always talk very transparently about everything in terms of our numbers, the new revenue, EBITDA, problems, churn. It's not also about just feeling good, it's also about problems. So I think talking visibly, where you align people, always transparently tell people about good and bad both. I think that helps to kind of develop a great team. And typically, if you have 3 to 4 great people, one of them is also ready to take over your own role as well, and we can always move on and focus on something else. So that's how I kind of look at it.
Uh, how do you define right team? What is the way to? I mean, right team is not. uh, There's not enough for someone to go on. Like, how do I find the right team? What are like some more? Can you zoom in a little more on what characteristics to look at, or how to run the right selection process, or any other insights?
Yeah, I think, and first of all, there is no way to figure out a person is right or wrong in just one meeting or two meeting. You may need to spend some time. But two factors: one is hunger, and second is ethics. A person is hungry for some success, and person is ethical that in that hunger he will not mess it up. I think these two factors are important. Skills can be learned. There is no rocket science. Hunger and ethics are the two things I would want to
How do
work
you
with.
judge? Like, these are very hard to judge.
I think based on the actions, right? Because once you start meeting people, smart people with some experience, they will always do a good job in talking and articulating and all those, right? But you have to watch for actions. uh, you know so let's say if I have an idea and I talk to someone, oh, are you interested? And he will always say, yeah, yes, no. But then observe what happens in next 1 week. How many times he's calling you back to discuss that idea? How many time he's, how much time he's spending on that? What is the fire, right? That hunger is there or not? Because at the end of the 99% people want to do the, business, and they want to get into entrepreneurship, but they don't do anything about it. So you have to find by actions. And ethics is a slightly tough thing, but if you watch out, you'll find out very quickly. Very
What are the
small,
symptoms?
very small. I'll tell you very small things, right? So things go wrong, right? Uh, every now and then things go wrong. But when things go wrong, what you do about it? Okay, I'll tell a very interesting, story that our HR has called some college people to office for scheduling their interviews, and she forgot actually that she called, right? And those people came. Now the two things can happen. No one else knows actually those guys came to office, right? And one thing is you send them back and call them again, and everything is perfect. But second thing is she walks out to me and says, I called them and I forgot, we are not prepared for them. Okay. So, I want you to talk to them for 5 minutes, just say apology from a company standpoint. And they're just precious, right? But think a thought process, right? If we call people and we are sending them back, we need to make sure that they realize we are sorry about it. And make sure so I think this is a fundamental difference. How you react to a situation will tell you how ethical people are. Because when she comes to me and tell me about this, I can see, right, she has missed it, but she's not worried about what I think. She's worried about to the right thing to people, because she represents the company, right? So these are the kind of things I look at as ethics.
Amazing. That's an amazing example. Thank you so much for your time, Sanjay. It was a real pleasure.
It was lovely talking to you, Akshay. It was pleasure. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.